So you're curious about Cool Springs, Tennessee. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Cool Springs general area. We're going to talk about the things to know, what it's like, what's there to do here. And you're going to hear it all through the eyes of three locals. I've got Paul and Tucker from the team here today, and we're going to go through everything Cool Springs. It all starts right now. If this is your first time to the channel, I want to say thanks for stopping by. We are a team of real estate professionals, and we help people every day, just like you, move to the Middle Tennessee area. And we love it. You can send us your questions, let us know what you're curious about. You can text us, you can call us. And remember, we just want to help people connect all the dots so they can make the right move. Hey, my name is Clay with the Kelton Group. I've got Paul and Tucker from the team with me today, and we just want to show you around Cool Springs. And if you stay until the end, you're going to find out some things that may surprise you about Cool Springs. Definitely good stuff to know. Let's get into it. It all starts right now. So today I've got Tucker and Paul with me on the team. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Clay.
Hey. So we're just going to jump into pros and cons here, guys. You know, I think we got a lot to talk about. We're three locals, and so we have a lot of time spent in the Cool Springs area here. And we, our desire here is to just share our insights and talk about this area, what you'd want to know, what it's like here. And so let's just kick it off. I guess, Paul, what is, give us an idea of where did Cool Springs come from? What's it like? Where is it? What can you share with us about just Cool Springs and how it started?
Thanks, Clay. Yes, I've always shared with folks who are first coming to town that Cool Springs is not a municipality. It's an area. The southern tip of Brentwood and a large northern section of Franklin is included in the space we refer to as Cool Springs. It started with a mall that was built in the late 80s, and then very few things were built around it for a good while. And I do remember a restaurant, the first restaurant that opened, the second restaurant that opened was J. Alexander's restaurant. The first was Red Lobster, which was across the street. And both of those restaurants are still open today. My favorite of all time is J. Alexander's. And if you're coming to town and I get a chance to meet you, that's where I'm going to take you to lunch. And most of my customers always go back there. In fact, one just recently did this fall when they came back into town for their second visit. But Cool Springs I love the name. The story is that the farmer who sold the farm that became the Cool Springs Mall area asked the developers, "What are you going to name your new mall?" And they said, "Park 65, because it was on Interstate 65. And he said, "Oh no, y'all have to do better than that. You better name it after my farm." And the name of the farm was Cool Springs.
There it is, man. It's how it all began. So I guess from my perspective, like one notable thing about Cool Springs and why it has just blown up into a huge successful commercial area is just really the location. You're right on the main interstate that runs north and south through Nashville. So of course you're south of Nashville, call it 15, 20 minutes, but you're right on I-65. And so you have access to all this shopping very easily. And so I think because it's where it is on a major interstate, it really pulls people, from anywhere around, call it a 20, 30 minute radius. So you got Nashvillians coming all the way down to go to things that they may only find in Cool Springs. You're going to pull people from the Nolensville community. You're going to pull College Grove. You're going to pull people even from the South, Spring Hill, Thompson Station, maybe even Columbia if they want to get to the big city shopping. Cool Springs is the nearest destination, and so you got just a radius that are going to draw to it because of where it is located and the sheer amount of shopping that is there. And so that takes me to a pro number 2 is just the scale and variety of shopping options. I was talking to my wife about Cool Springs, and she's like, you literally, if you go run errands, you can get everything you need in Cool Springs. So that's kind of what it offers you know, the Nashville resident is just like, hey, hit the Target, hit the grocery store, hit the, you know, shopping for clothes at the Galleria or other shops, get your car fixed, go to the movies. You kind of have just, it's just a big area. So as far as, you know, one of the other big things is food options. Tucker, talk to us. What do you know about food in Cool Springs?
So there's actually two places that I really like, and one is Sperry's. Now, one thing I don't like is it does sit in a strip mall, but outside of that, a lot of traditions, been there forever. But when you walk in, you'll go in through the front door, look to your right, and they have all these wine lockers. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people that have their names on those lockers that you're going to know. And so that's a fun little nugget. When you get a chance, go in there. I've just never had a bad meal there. Now, not every meal is a steak dinner. So if it's usually for lunch and I'm in Cool Springs, I'm going to the Cajun Steamer. It's right off Carruthers, and favorite spot. Lot of locals.
I love it. Paul, you got any favorite restaurants that you like to go to?
Yeah, I just keep going back to J. Alexander's. I can't find any better. But no,
Yep.
we try to frequent all of them many times during the year. But yeah, I just drew a blank. I'm trying to. What's the one there on Moore's Lane that's right there, right beside, across the road from Home Depot? Trying to think of it. It starts with an A.
Oh, Outback Steakhouse?
No, not Outback. But,
Marigold?
I mean, they're good too.
You got Cheddar's. I mean, like
The one next door to Cheddar's, right there on the right.
It's Amerigo's.
Amerigo's. Thank you. Yeah,
Amerigo's. I was gonna say
staple.
Sportsman's Grill. There's literally, I think Tucker, you said there's like over 200 different restaurants in Cool Springs. So I think the bigger problem is like, you know, trying them all.
I'm working on it.
If you're like me, then it's like once I find 2 or 3 places I like, it's like I just don't think about anything else. I just go. So my places that I regularly go to in Cool Springs is going to be your Cava, which is a Mediterranean, you know, bowl. You get the meatballs and the greens and kind of the whole just fresh food. I love that place, and so I'm there a bunch. And then I like Whole Foods, you know, mostly because you just park, you go in, there's no wait, you just hit the hot bar or grab a slice of pizza, or you know, there's just a variety there, and it's easy and fast, and it's pretty healthy. And so those are the two. And then I do love J. Alexander's too. That's a place we would go for dinner. Paul as well. That's a really popular choice, but I think our point is there's really just so many food options. Another one is the Rutledge, which is a really good restaurant.
Yeah, been there.
That is kind of on the east side of I-65, and then Tupelo Honey's a good breakfast place that I like. So there's a ton of food options, and that kind of leads into our next pro, which is just healthy lifestyle options. And this is more than just food. I think, you know, one of the things that Brentwood and Williamson County has kind of become really known for is their parks and the amount of options there are for whether it's dog parks, mountain biking, running. We've got a neighbor who drives down, who goes, he's one of these ultra marathon guys, and he goes down to Smith Park at like 4 or 5 a.m. and they run like 10 miles. He's the one, you know. So you have options like that, but that's literally where they go, is to a park that's just outside of Cool Springs for the trails. And so, you know, what else fits into healthy lifestyle options? Anything else come to mind? One thing else for me is just that there's a Lifetime Fitness in Cool Springs. And so, again, really well done, just fits the healthy lifestyle. If you've not been to one, it's a really, really high-end, you know, workout facility. They've got heated indoor and outdoor pools, you know, lap pools. They now have indoor pickleball. They got 3 courts, which I'm a big pickleball fan. So that's a really good option. But the cool thing is they have a cafe inside Lifetime, which is actually really healthy and it's really good. And they got a coffee bar, and like you'll see people go sit in there and literally work for the whole afternoon after their early morning workout or what have you. So it's kind of like the whole lifestyle. You could go start your day there and just stay there all day. Use the Wi-Fi.
Well, that's where you've been, right? Is that where
it's a great option, but that's a place that you'll only find in Cool Springs in Nashville. You know, that's where the Lifetime Fitness location is. So that's a big deal. But you know, Tucker, what else?
Urban Market was the one I wanted to talk about.
Oh Lordy, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's right off Franklin Road, so it's not really off the beaten path. It's actually closer to the main roads to get you from Franklin to Brentwood, and it's just really easy to get to. Clay, I know you can rave about it far more than I can.
I love it. So it's going to be your like super clean eating. You know, they don't use certain oils. Everything's organic. It costs a little more, but man, the food is just really, really good. And they have all kinds of. It's a restaurant, but it's a market too. So they sell a bunch of stuff there. It's almost like I can't figure out all the stuff. There's just too many things, but I'm working my way through the menu. Definitely that's probably my favorite restaurant in the general Cool Springs area. Of course, it's gonna be right there on the west side, of Cool Springs. But as far as other lifestyle options, I think another point that needs to be made is just the amount of activities for kids. And we talked about this in another video, but kids sports is a really huge deal in Williamson County. So Cool Springs will be the place where you may have if you have kids, if your daughter is into dance, like there's dance options in Cool Springs. People will travel 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to get to Cool Springs so their daughter can go to the dance programs that are offered there. You got dance, you're going to have volleyball, you're going to have like your indoor soccers, indoor basketball. I go to play pickleball in Cool Springs. It's one of the best locations. One of the only locations where you can go find open play pickleball indoors. And so that's going to be a huge draw in Cool Springs for me. What are the sports?
Hey, Clay, don't forget golf. You were talking about Urban Market. You can just take a right out of Urban Market, head south, and come to the entrance to Vanderbilt Legends Club. This golf, there are two 18-hole PGA sanctioned courses. The LPGA has actually been played there in the past. There's a little course, an irons course, nine-hole irons course that parents can bring their children, play with their kids. There's a 19-acre state-of-the-art practice range. It is they are private golf courses, but it's something you certainly want to check out when you're new to town to see how that might fit with your schedule and fit with your introducing your children to golf.
Yeah.
And that's really where the little course comes in. It's par 3, it's 9-hole. I take my son there. That's really how we introduced him to the game. So when we travel and go play golf in other locations, that's what we do on vacation. That was a really big help.
Yeah, that's a huge draw. And, you're going to have, of course, the Legends, and then you'll have Nashville Golf right off Moore's Lane, which is also really right there on the edge of Cool Springs.
Yep.
And then the other place you're going to have, which is I think only a 9-hole, is the Cheekwood Golf Course, and it's traded a few times. It used to be Spencer Creek. It's right there on Mac Hatcher, again at the southwest corner of Cool Springs, basically. So you do have golfing options in the area. Next pro, let's go to schools. And so again, because all of Cool Springs is in Williamson County, you're gonna have pretty highly sought after schools in general. We talk about this in the map video for Cool Springs, so check that out. But the Franklin Special School District covers a large portion of Cool Springs. Does not cover all of it, so make sure to check that out. But that's another layer of of school kind of district information that's worth knowing about. There are a lot of great schools in the area, and you'll see is you will see people sometimes relocate from other areas of Nashville to Williamson County, and a lot of it is because they may be raising kids that are getting into school ages, and so it's worth exploring that. But we do have a pretty strong school system in general in that Cool Springs area. And then the next pro I want to go to is work options. So guys, what do we know about, there's a ton of businesses in Cool Springs. There's a lot of office space. Who are these people? Who are these businesses?
Yeah. Well, to name a few, you have Nissan North America. You have Mitsubishi has their headquarters here. You have Schneider Electric, which has a pretty large office building right near the Drury Hotel, which you can see really from any angle here in Cool Springs. And You have community health systems, and you can really go down the line, but you have a lot of corporate headquarters, and that's really what helped grow Cool Springs into what it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. Williams, the entire county has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. I think we're still below 4% unemployment here. So I was just in a meeting. A local hospital is locally owned, Williamson County Medical Center, just adjacent to the Cool Springs complex. And they're just short 303 workers, I heard just recently. And so I think they're very eager to get healthcare workers in place and into the hospital. Again, adjacent to Cool Springs is Columbia State. Has a brand new campus. It's less than 5 years old, and they are opening a whole new building to teach nursing because of the medical need that we have here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like the demand for jobs, I think that comes back to like so many companies keep moving to the region, to Nashville from other states, from less tax-friendly states to Tennessee because, because of, the tax benefits and small, no state income tax. And so when people keep moving here, they need employees. And so the job market is, I would call it pretty strong in Nashville. I mean, certainly a ton of demand on every trade and every service industry that we use is like we're in demand for. So it's an attractive environment, and it starts, from big companies moving here, and it just trickles down, I think, in some sense, to the demand that's kind of placed here.
Clay, you mentioned taxes. We had a client last year that I was taking back to the airport after he had purchased a home in Williamson County, not that far from Cool Springs. And he said, "Now, what did you say the annual taxes are on this piece of real estate?" And so I said, "Well, look up in that upper right-hand corner of the multiple listing sheet." And he looked at it and he said, "Wow, that annual amount is what I pay per month in my state for real estate taxes." And so it really did reaffirm his decision to buy here and relocate his family here.
Yeah, I mean, we hear that time and again. We're just a tax-friendly environment, and so that's certainly a draw.
And Clay, before I forget, also with the hospital, and Williamson County has continued to grow. It wasn't that long ago. It's probably been maybe 5 years where they have a joint venture with Vanderbilt Medical Center. So they have their own children's hospital at Williamson County Medical Center. As there are a lot of families here, that has been a real big plus for a lot of families.
Exactly. If I could touch on one more tax issue.
Yeah.
The public school system in Tennessee is financed in each county 50% sales tax revenue, 50% real estate tax revenue. And so when you have an entity like Cool Springs that has so much retail, so much business activity, the revenue from the sales tax is an amazing boost to Franklin's economy, to the county's economy. And with the growth in the population expected to double in the next 18 years for the whole county, this is a tremendous boost and boom. I do remember when, after the financial crisis of 2008, malls were closing all over America. And Cool Springs Mall never closed. They may have refinanced or restructured their operation, but they actually expanded. And Tucker, you may remember they expanded in an open air concept. So they had 1.2 million square feet under roof, 2 levels. And then they went outside and they added, maybe 300,000 square feet outside, something to that effect. So anyway, it's always interesting to see how we're contrarians. We're doing it differently typically than what you see that's happening in the country.
And if you do have time, go to Kings Bowl. It's really the most different bowling alley experience I've ever been to, but my kids love it. And then, of course, next to it, the American Girl doll store,
Oh,
which
boy.
has taken a bunch of our money, is really just fascinating.
And you can always eat at Connor's right across the street.
Yes.
You know?
I love it. And then you go work out at D1 after that to work off
Yeah,
your
That's
meal.
right. Come on, D1.
So that takes me to our next pro, which is just going to be your housing options. And, one thing is you can move into the general Cool Springs area, and you have new construction options as you go, especially as you go east. There's neighborhoods that are still being developed and built out, so you can get a brand new house and within 5 or 10 minutes of Cool Springs. And if you go south, down I-65, you can catch 840, and then all of a sudden it opens up even more territories like your College Groves, where you may find some hobby farms or land or just really scenic areas. And then as that whole area develops, you're just going to still have, again, new housing options. There's lots of established neighborhoods too, but because of where it is on the interstate system, you can get to a lot of places pretty quickly. And so, there's some housing kind of right there around Cool Springs that's been there for 20, 30, 40 years, but that's not everything that I would consider. Anything else on that, guys, as far as just the housing, what your perspective of housing is kind of in the area?
Well, there's not much infill land left around Cool Springs but we are seeing it, and we think the future will be out around McEwen and Carruthers to the west or to the east, and then of course to the south. I remember when I first came here 35 years ago, everyone said the development for the future is down Highway 65, Interstate 65 to the south. And that's exactly, as you get on the map, look at the intersection of Old Hickory Boulevard and I-65 and just go south, and you'll see it all filling in. And I believe now the developers are at least 2 counties south of us on I-65 building more affordable houses in the 200 to 300 range, rather than what the land costs have gotten so expensive here that somewhere in the mid 4s would be where the properties actually would start being listed.
Yeah, that's right. And it's in essence has just been massive farmland. And of course, as it develops, it converts over to commercial and streets and streetscapes and housing and, everything that comes with housing that supports it. So it takes me to our next pro, and that's going to be your proximity and the events that you get in downtown Franklin. Really neat area. Again, 5 or 10 minutes from Cool Springs, really. But what would you guys, Paul, you want to touch on some of the events that, that downtown Franklin offers?
Yes, absolutely. It's like, my wife and I just attended Dickens of a Christmas this past Saturday in Franklin. Only 100,000 people were there. And prior to that, we had been to Pumpkin Fest in October. We'd been to the Main Street Festival in August. And I guess the only thing we didn't attend this year was the pilgrimage out in Harlansdale Farm, where Justin Timberlake and artists of his stature perform every summer there for a family-oriented music festival, which has really come together in a very big way on this 200-acre site in downtown Franklin, basically.
That's been a big deal. One comment on that. Did you know that you can actually get there by canoe? You can
That's right.
You can park and put it upstream and take your canoe to the pilgrimage and pull out right there and turn.
Right. Yeah, the Harpeth River flows through Franklin, and that's exactly right. Also, the trail system is now fully developed from the downtown Franklin on the banks of the river all the way out to the rec center, and which is on Machatcher Parkway. There were several other things that I wanted to tie together with it. Oh yeah, there will be a pedestrian bridge built over the Harpeth River, right where Bicentennial Park has begun. They've announced just this week that the money has been appropriated. They're going to finish Bicentennial Park before the city is 30 years older than its bicentennial. Franklin is 223 years old as a city, as a town. and a lot of celebrations. But the downtown focus has been, if you stay at the Harpeth Hotel, you'll be able to just walk anywhere you want to in Franklin over time, across the river in 2 places.
So I will say this, the downtown Franklin area I feel like it's been under construction for years, these streets and roads and I mean, I know everybody's kind of tired of it, but as you see it start to finish up and complete, man, it is world class. The way they have taken a step back, slowed down, given a lot of thoughtful design to that whole region. It's just going to be Class A experience for everybody who goes and visits downtown Franklin. So I think it's a job well done. It's just, the pains of the construction and road work is real, but we're kind of coming towards the end of that. Yep. But again, I think the bigger point, Cool Springs, you are close enough to downtown Franklin. You're closer to downtown Franklin than you are Nashville. And so, that actually is one of the benefits of the location, is that you get to pull from the cool historic area of downtown Franklin, and the events that come along with that and that support downtown Franklin are close enough to Cool Springs for you to really participate in. That kind of leads me into, let's talk about the cons of Cool Springs area. If we had to pick some, I mean, there's not a ton, but I will say, because of the area it was largely developed in my mind, there's just not a ton of character. It's not a historic area. It was not there, 100 years ago. It was farms. And so because it was developed really in the 90s and 2000s, and still today it's starting to be, wrapped up in a sense, but it's largely a lot of strip malls and, brick buildings, and just kind of, it doesn't have the character that you'll have in your historic downtown Franklin or in your historic areas in Nashville that are really much older and more vertical, or maybe different architecture styles. So because of when it was developed, there's not a ton of characters. If we had to pick a con, that would be one for me. Just the look of it. Now, that said, I think they have, as it's gone south, I think, Paul, you've talked about before, new minds have come into play. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we lived near the mall proper when it was first built. In fact, we would go over and walk during the winter. A lot of walkers in the mall, and nothing was built around the mall. It was just a huge 2-story red brick building, nothing around it. And what I do remember too is what happened in commercial development, where power centers started being developed, where a box store would anchor a center and then other retail would follow. And I think at one time, someone was counting 5 or 6 power centers were developed all immediately around the mall. And that really caused it to expand and explode by the early 90s. But as the popularity of this area grew, developers started taking note from Atlanta, from other places in the Southeast, from other places in the country. And they would bring their ideas here. And so we watched, so if you're at the intersection of McEwen and I-65, or if you're standing in Whole Foods looking north, you're looking at the latest and the greatest that's occurring in commercial construction in the United States, in my opinion. I haven't been to every place, but the company that owns all of that has just gone far and wide to find exactly what's working and what will work. And so you can see the best of the best today, and then you'll see how it was just getting started back in the day, 35 years ago. And as it grew south, it began to be more sophisticated. And so you weren't just patching. I remember on General George Patton Drive, I remember a guy that had a commercial building down on the left-hand side, and he was worried that he couldn't find a tenant in 1990, 1991 to go into his little retail warehouse space. And not less than a quarter of a mile away from where he was trying to fill this space, there were dove hunters shooting dove on the first day of September, which is dove season in Tennessee. So, you know, you just had this kind of contrast going on. And of course, today, we're just benefiting from so much of the new ideas, new concepts that have come here that we're all benefiting from today.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's the reason it's gotten the attention of these major players like your Nissan North America. Like, why would they put their flagship in Cool Springs, in the Franklin area?
Yep.
Well, there's a lot of wealth around. There's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of good people, and there's a lot of tax benefits. But there's enough good things going to get the attention of major players.
Yes.
And so that's why it is still kind of on everybody's radar.
Let me just interrupt and just say this. Both you two were both born here, natives of this county. I'm an immigrant. I came in 35 years ago and kind of sort of now considered a native, I guess. But the business park Maryland Farms was created in Brentwood to attract corporate relocation offices. And one of the drivers I remember in the 80s for that office complex was to get employees who would be near, let's just say the CEO or the CFO or the CFO or the COO would be within a 5 or 10 minute drive to where their children were playing ball in the municipal ballparks of Brentwood. That very same concept is what is transferred into Cool Springs, where you now have this plethora of sporting attractions that kids are all involved in, anywhere from dance for the girls to pickleball or to golf, etc. And it's all right there really close. So you've got this corporate space, office space, primarily on the east side of 65 in Cool Springs, that just attracts the folks who can be close, not only close to where the kids are playing ball, but close to their homes.
A fun fact, Paul, do you remember where they originally wanted to put the Cool Springs Mall?
I do. Tell us about it.
They wanted it in Maryland Farms in Brentwood. And anyone listening, Cool Springs is partially Brentwood, partially Franklin, so everything's pretty close to each other. But they originally wanted it in Brentwood in that corporate business park, and it really just wasn't going to work. They really hit a home run by putting it exactly where it was.
They did, yeah.
Right on. Well, that takes me to con number 2. There's not a ton of nightlife, and so I think there are some things to do, right? There are some options. You're gonna have breweries and bars and restaurants and happy hours and bowling alleys and things like that. But the real nightlife, and I think there's a little bit of live music that'll come in that happens. But truly, for real nightlife, you're gonna see a lot of people will head to downtown Nashville or to downtown Franklin. Downtown Nashville is going to have obviously all your honky tonks and a ton of live music and your Predators hockey games, your Titans football games, your big city attractions, if you will. So there's not a ton of nightlife. It's a little sleepier vibe, but you're within striking distance to both downtown Franklin, which will have a little bit more nightlife, and whether it's the historic movie theater in downtown Franklin or going to catch, a play or something like that. But that's probably a con of the area in general. Another con would be, I think there's more chain restaurants than there are like truly boutique, unique restaurants. You're gonna, which is again kind of when it was developed and kind of what it feels like, it's just going to attract more chain restaurants. The amount of the foot traffic, the amount of people coming to the area are going to really support those big chains. But I will say this also: if a restaurant has success in downtown Nashville, they're almost always, when they look to expand, usually their second location is going to be in Cool Springs. If they made it work in Nashville, they usually feel like we can make this work in Cool Springs, and people will kind of know the brand. So you'll see like your Burger Ups, which started 12th South, boutique hamburger,
Yep.
your high-end hamburger, if you will. Second location, Cool Springs. You're going to see that kind of thing happen a lot. And so this is the next best thing after you have success in downtown Nashville, I would say, for a lot of these restaurant owners. Any other thoughts on that, fellas?
I would just say, and as you know, it's hard for me to talk about the cons because I feel like there's so many pros. But
yeah,
the one I consider Cool Springs the new Franklin. Main Street is old Franklin, and so as a retail customer, you're getting two specific different types of merchandise. The stores that are in Cool Springs Mall cannot operate on downtown Franklin's streets. They can't sell the same thing. So the retail stores in downtown Franklin and the factory have to be the more creative. I'm told that more national stores are being attracted to downtown Franklin as a result of the traffic that's come. But as a retailer, you got to do it differently if you're going to be in downtown Franklin. The rents are high. Over the years, this has been characteristically high. We've seen people come and go, but they always seem to be filled with someone selling something. And so that's a great con too. So.
That's a great point. It just made me think, like, if you're coming to Nashville to visit, if you're a tourist, you're going to downtown Franklin. You're not really looking to hang out in Cool Springs. This is where people who live in the area do day-to-day life, buy their wares, get the stuff they need to live, kids to play, kids to practice, go to work. That's what really is happening more in Cool Springs. And then your historic area is going to attract that tourist, that unique, seeker of unique things, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Any other finalizing thoughts on just Cool Springs area? If people are going to move to the area and looking to live, anything else, guys?
Well, I would say, and I've always encouraged newcomers, if you haven't been here before, just pick a hotel that you're satisfied with in Cool Springs. Light there. Be there first. All roads lead to Cool Springs, so you can get out, go see whatever you want to see in Nashville. Be back there basically in the suburbs for nightfall, whatever. But you can see downtown Franklin. You can tour the county. But it's the most central spot to locate as you explore.
Yeah, that's really good. And again, we love making these videos and talking about our insights into different areas of where to live in Nashville. We are a real estate team, and so we'd love to hear questions you have. We have extensive experience selling homes, helping people relocate to the Middle Tennessee region. And so let us know if you have any questions. You can shoot us a call or a text or an email. And if you got any value out of this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to learn more about where to live in Nashville. Until then, we hope to show you around town.